Vehicle size does not matter, but many learners still give priority to the biggest vehicles. In this video, I will explain how right before left rule works with the different types of road users. For this intersection, there will be a car, a bus and a cyclist. With this video, you will understand why all vehicles are treated equally, who actually have the priority, and how to avoid common driving mistakes when we are driving in German driving exam. Because in Germany, rules are based on position and not dependent on the size of the vehicle. So now here, let's understand that vehicle size does not matter. Even though if we are driving a car, a bus or a cyclist, vehicle size will not determine who will be having the first priority. So now let's understand what the core rule says. So the core rule says car, bus and cyclist will be treated equally. All have equal rights in a traffic, which means that the priority will depend on a position, the priority will depend on a position, not on the size. And here the priority will be dependent on the position. This means that if there is a vehicle coming from the right hand lane, then that vehicle will have the priority. Even if one vehicle is larger or faster, it does not change the rule. The rule simply says that the vehicle coming from the right will have the priority. Now let's look at this example. So here we can see an unmarked intersection. So here there is a red color vehicle coming to an intersection. At the same time, there is a cyclist coming to an intersection, and additionally there is a bus driver coming to an intersection. Now in this case, let's analyze the intersection first. So here the red color vehicle wants to go straight, the cyclist also want to go straight, and the bus driver also want to go straight. Now here we might be having a question, who will go first or who will cross the intersection first? Now here, before applying any rule, we need to check few important things. So here we can see that there are no traffic lights, no traffic signs, and there is no a priority road. This confirms that we have to use the right before left rule. So now let's understand what the right before left rule says. So if there is an intersection and if there is a vehicle coming from the right hand lane, then the right before left rule simply says that the vehicle coming from the right will have the first priority. So now from our example, there is no one coming from the right hand lane for the red color vehicle, which means that he will be having the first priority. Then as the red color vehicle will cross the intersection, there won't be any vehicle coming from the right hand lane for the cyclist. This confirms that he will be having the second priority. And as soon as the red color vehicle as well as the cyclist will cross the intersection, there won't be anyone coming from the right hand lane for the bus driver. This confirms that he will be having the last priority. So in our example here, according to the rule, the red color vehicle will have the first priority, the cyclist will have the second priority, and lastly the bus driver will have the third priority. So now at this intersection, the red vehicle will cross the intersection first. As soon as he crosses the intersection, the cyclist will cross the intersection second, and as there is no one, the bus driver will cross the intersection third. So this is how the right before left rule will work at an unmarked intersection where there is a car, cyclist and a bus coming to an intersection. Now let's understand when this rule does not apply. So whenever we are driving at an unmarked intersection, and in that case if there is a cycle lane priority signboard, in that case this rule will not apply. So normally in a city areas, whenever we are driving in a residential areas, there are proper cycle lanes. In that case, cyclists and normal road users like car drivers are also allowed. But whenever we are driving on a cycle lane and if they have a priority, in that case this rule will not apply. Second, whenever we are driving in a traffic sign, so if there are any traffic lights or traffic signs are present, in that case this rule will not apply. And lastly, if there are any temporary signs board which are present, they will override this rule. So for example, if you are driving in construction areas, there will be a temporary signboards. In that case, right before left rule will not work. So always check the environment carefully. Now let's understand what are the common German driving exam mistakes. So common exam mistakes include letting the bus go first because of its bigger size. So normally road users think that if there is a bus who is bigger in size, they will allow them to cross the intersection first, but this is completely wrong. Second, ignoring cyclist priority. So as I said earlier, in residential areas there are different cycle paths. So ignoring cycle priority can lead to exam failure. Third, assuming cyclists will stop automatically. This is also a common exam mistake. And lastly, not checking properly to the right hand lane. Always remember, cyclists have full priority rights in this situation when we talk about driving in a cycle lane. Now let's understand what should be the correct thinking process. So at mixed intersection, think in this order. Check for the stop or yield sign. So whenever there are stop signs or a yield sign, we have to check for them. Then check for the priority road signs. Then third, we need to check for the traffic lights. If none of them apply, we have to use the right before left rule. You can ask yourself who comes from the right hand side. So whenever there is a vehicle coming from the right hand lane, in that case he will be having the first priority. I have also recorded a practical driving video where we encounter this situation. If you watch that video will help you to apply this rule confidently in real situation. That's it from this video. Now you clearly understand how right before left rule works with the different road users.